coming up. You know, over the course of interviewing so many artists about their greatest songs, I've come upon some of my favorite songs of all time. This is one of those interviews. It's a song that has stuck with me since I first heard it at just 6 years of age. I'm being serious. I don't know why, but it immediately connected to me, and I've never unconnected with it. I've always had questions about the song, and I got to ask them. Up next, a new wave band from the 80s. They tell the story of one of the most wondrous songs of that time. Coming up on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. You know, if you love music, the soundtrack of your lives, and want to know the stories behind those songs, you're going to dig this channel of music nostalgia. Make sure to subscribe below right now to be a part of this music community. Click the bell so that you don't miss out on our interviews, our stories from the legends. And we also want to invite you to Professor of Rock Live. It's our live series where I'm going to sit down with a legend. We're going to talk about their career, their songs. We're going to play their songs. Really cool event. You can get your tickets at the link below. And if you want to check out our merch, check out our Patreon. We have additional content there that helps us to keep this a daily channel. So it's time for another edition of our show, Revelations. This is where featured artists share rare stories behind their greatest songs and their greatest albums. It's really insight that you're not going to find anywhere else. When I was 6 years old, I heard a song on the radio. It was like on one of those clock radios. I was immediately taken with it, even though I was just a little guy. It seduced me. It made me feel something deeper than I'd ever felt up to that point. I mean, I was 6 years old. I didn't know anything about depression or stress or heartbreak or loneliness. But somehow this song was my introduction to emotions like that I wasn't old enough to understand. All that I knew that I was addicted to its vibrancy. There was something in it. It was Only the Lonely by the Motels. That was released in 1982 as the first single from their third studio album, All for One. It did go to number 9. For 4 weeks it sat at number 9. As I discovered more of the Motels' music throughout the years, I was just blown away by their female Doors meets seedy Los Angeles vamp that made them one of the most underappreciated and misunderstood bands of the time. They're just so much deeper than their singles, which are all really great, and they deserve a thorough listen. You will be as enthralled as I am if you're not aware of their stuff. Only the Lonely was later introduced to a new generation when it was part of the 2006 video game Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. It was on the radio station Emotion 98.3.
Motels, Only the Lonely.
We walked the loneliest.
I was so excited when I got a chance to talk to lead singer and songwriter Martha Davis and saxophonist Marty Jourard from the second incarnation of the band, and he was with them through their big singles. Now, as we go into this story, I do want to thank our sponsor, Zenni Eyewear. The glasses that I wear every single day, I love them. You can get a pair for every day of the week because they're so cost effective. They're so quality. You'll be a customer for life, believe me. Go to Zenni.com and pick out a few pairs. See how they look before you buy. You can do that with Zenni's amazing mirror feature. Here are the members of the Motels.
We walked.
The thing about Only the Lonely, I'm excited we're at this part because I've waited many, many decades to ask you this question since I was a kid and heard it the first time. Where did that song come from? Did it just like fall out of the sky, or did it
This was, it was the one I picked up my guitar and it was sitting there. Nothing actually comes from the sky, but it is, I do look up sometimes and go, thank you. You feel like it's come from the sky. Obviously, I think that emotionally, here we were finally, we're now signed. We've been on world tours. People are taking us around in limos and bringing us flowers. And
you're traveling around the world.
Yeah, it's like there's this whole, only the lonely can play. I was desperately lonely and unhappy, and yet here we were, it was like a facade. And the loneliness was probably deeper than anything else. Yeah. It's amplified by the fact that you're supposedly, so
successful and happy.
Yeah, and people are loving you. So, and one line of the I'm so lonely way up here.
Remember that Elvis quote? I love that he says, I feel alone in a crowded room, or whatever the exact quote he said when he was at the peak of his fame.
It's a lonely man.
You're at a point where they're kind of trying to make you something that you don't want to be. And art comes from your soul.
Yeah.
Whenever that happens and you're right in the middle of art and commerce, the record label's always trying to push you over to the commerce side. Yeah. And you lose yourself a little bit.
And more than just like Val, when he took over, he basically was trying to fire my whole band and put in his guys. It was hugely demoralizing for the band itself. Brian basically didn't play on it. Marty played on it, but Goldie was coming up with most of the parts.
Well, I came up with the Only the Lonely thing.
Yeah.
I am not a session musician. I mean, I'm pretty good now, but I grew up playing in bar band. None of us were.
We were good.
and so the way, when everything's on beat, the song relaxes and becomes the definitive recording. And if you don't have those skills, and the fact that, I wasn't much of a drinker, I'll put it that way. But I know what I contributed to that, artistically and sonically.
But like Michael Goodrow, the bass player, literally had to fight for his seat as the bass player, and he literally would not get out of his chair. He went home every night and practiced. And the ringer that Val brought in, just, Michael won. But that's demoralizing to a band. That is a band.
It seemed like, even as a kid hearing Only the Lonely, was a contradiction of the two worlds that you guys are talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're in a machine that, there's so many levels where you have to be happy. First of all, a band is a hilarious thing because it's like being married to 4 people, 5 people. Literally.
You're with them more than you're your family.
You're with them all the time. And the Motels, the basis of the Motels, Marty, Michael, Brian, and myself, we all actually got along famously.
Yeah.
There was never a problem. The guitar players came and went. And I'm not sure that fit ever got right with that Motels. I think it is now. So you're dealing with that. And then you've got the machine and the record company and all those people, all the press and all that stuff that you have to, your image that you have to.
You're right.
There's so many things that have to be satisfied at the same time. The one thing that probably doesn't get satisfied is you. It's like
I want to go through some of the lyrics because I just love this poetry, and I want the world to go back and listen to the song and feel it the way, hopefully, that I felt and so many people felt it. We walk the lonely smile, we smile without any style, we kiss all together, wrong, no intention. Oh man, that is just great poetry. But the part that spoke to me was like, we lie about each other's dreams. We live without each other, thinking what anyone would do without me and you. Because we're all built to be a little bit selfish. And we all think that, well, if I don't go into work today, or if I don't go to school today, the day never happened. Right? And that spoke to me as a kid. Like, well, for the first time in my life, I realized that the world doesn't evolve around me, and this song is kind of saying this is an idea. It made me think about it where I'd never thought of it before.
I never really thought about the lyrics the way you did. I'm trying to, I had a different job.
I don't think I did either.
Yeah.
It's a great line, though, because
we
all take songs the way we take it, right?
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful about music. And
I tend to love to write lyrics that don't paint the whole picture. I don't go into a lot of detail. I leave it very open because it's like the difference between reading a book and going to the movies.
Right.
In the book, you color their hair, you make their, create the characters. I remember reading One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and being totally like, wait a minute, that's not McMurphy. That's like, you know, he did
Yeah.
a great job, but you know, you have your own vision of it, and
Of
that's how
what-
it should be.
So hold on, here we go.
The lyrics were one thing, but even the music and the background, though. But
Well, yeah, that was a guitar riff.
You know?
It's her riff.
right when you hear that song and you hear the drums come in and then the bass, like it's just, what I love about it is you can hear those parts so distinctly.
We lie about each other's.
It's almost like there were 3 or 4 melodies going on
Yeah.
in that. And so it's taking you through all these different tunnels. When you get to that breakdown and you hear the guitar solo and the saxophone solo, that's like the best 1-2 combo, one of the best of the 80s. Tell me about that part, because that's my favorite saxophone solo
Well, thank you.
of the 80s.
I was noodling away on my tenor, you know, playing buttons and bows or whatever came into my head.
Yeah.
You know, everything it wasn't very good. And then we cut it in half, and then it was put in a different key, and then I put it on alto. And then I really thought about it. And when
Yeah.
I heard the song, I went, I've got to play the best I can possibly play this. And so the second half that was handed off from that. I went, I've just got, and I was inspired, and I don't use that lightly. I was inspired to do that, and I just did as much thinking as I could about it. But the joke was, at that high note, I wanted to go to a major seventh. I wanted to just go a half step lower than the da. And, you know, because, you know, I was kind of hip, and Marty gently suggested I just take it all the way up.
Oh, yeah.
And the joke was, I was flat. they had to bump it up with a harmonizer.
Oh, really?
It's just like a eighth of a tone flat. My ideas have always been ahead of my technique. I guess in whatever music I've done in my life, you know, my contribution, my stain on the sheet of rock, if you will, is, I think it's 8 bars of alto sax solo on that song. If I'm remembering,
yeah.
it'll be for that.
Yeah.
It's a song that, of course, pop charts, number 9 on the pop charts, and it did well in Canada, top 10, and the rock charts even, which was cool, number 6 there. But the other great thing about it has been used quite a bit in pop culture with The Groomsman, was in that movie.
It was?
Yeah.
The Groomsman.
Of course, Grand Theft Auto.
Motels, only the lonely.
We walked the lonely.
That video game brought out a lot of 80s songs that people didn't necessarily know, like even like Talk Talk. And it was good to hear those songs.
Yeah.
Only the lonely can play.
Great video for Only the Lonely as well.
Remember, it was fun as hell.
We smile without any style.
But it was Wild West. It was really the very beginning of video.
This was the first year of MTV in 1982.
Nothing was union. All just flying by the seat of your pants. We did Take the L. And Only Lonely in 2 days, I believe.
More than maybe 3 or 4, but it was Russell Mulcahy.
Yeah. And we went downtown and PAs were running around picking people off the street. I remember the bartender in this thing, which we wanted to sort of be like The Shining.
What'll it be?
They found this old man literally stepping off a bus. And they go, "Hey, you want to be in a video?" And he went, "Okay." And I remember he was getting really drunk back there, and he was hitting on me by the end of the video.
Well, you guys won an American Music Award for Only the Lonely, for that
Yeah.
video. As a kid, When I heard Only the Lonely, it just really, it spoke to me in a way at that age where it kind of filled the emptiness, you know? And every time I hear the song, every year, it has different meaning to me.
Years go by and I'll look back and I'll go, being able to put it in context with the time of my life and see an explanation for what my life situation was.
Inside our soul knows what we need or what we want or what we're trying to say.
We are far more powerful than we ever know.
Only the lonely can play.
And make sure to leave us a comment about this amazing band. They are so great. What are your memories of the Motels and their music and this song, for that matter? Let us know in the comments. Make sure to get your tickets for Professor of Rock Live. We'd love to meet you out there. Make sure to subscribe to our channel and be a part of our Spirit of Radio, as I call it. And take a look at our merch and our Patreon. Both of these things help us keep the music alive, and that is the idea. Until next time, 3 chords and the truth, my friends.